Not your typical smoked salmon. This is hot smoked, tender and packed with flavour, using my homemade rub, a kiss of smoke and a sweet maple glaze to finish. It's simple but incredible. Whether you're a seasoned pitmaster or you're firing up your smoker for the first time, this recipe is simple, it's approachable and packed full of bold flavours. I hope you're all well. I'm Shane. Welcome back to It's Cooking Good. Salmon. Who doesn't love salmon? I love it, and I love it on the smoker, and this recipe is a real banger. I've got two lovely salmon fillets here. Thank you to Ron Fowler Son here in Bookham. If you're in the area, make sure you pay them a visit. We must support local. Any salmon will do, but this salmon is nice. It's got a great fat content, and it's a little bit more forgiving in that way, so you could cook it a little bit longer or a little bit less, and it won't matter too much. But first, what we want to do is season this up, and I like to make my own rub to go onto my salmon. I know there's some really good store-bought rubs out there, but I do like to make my own, and this one works really, really well with this salmon. But I do keep old tubs. If I have used them in the past, I like to keep these tubs because they do come in useful for making my own. Now, I'm going to make up a small quantity of this. I'll put all this down below in the description as always, and we're going to start off with black pepper. I'm probably going to go in with a teaspoon because I'm not going to fill this whole thing up, and a good couple of pinches of salt. So that's probably, I'd say 2 teaspoons of salt. Garlic powder, teaspoon. Onion powder, teaspoon. Teaspoon of basil. I might as well just say these are all teaspoons. Well, until I get to the tablespoons. A teaspoon of fresh lime zest. A teaspoon of smoked paprika. I put a little bit too much in there. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. So I'm just using like a demerara sugar. You really want something that's not going to stick together. So something that's granulated basically. And then here I like to add a nutty note to this. I think it works really well again with this fish. So here I've got pecan nuts, which I've ground down. So my little coffee grinder, if you've watched the channel before, you've seen me probably use it. And I grind down the pecans. And I'm just going to add a couple of pinches, so probably maybe a teaspoon and a half. And that's it. And we're just going to give that a good shake. Make sure it's all nicely incorporated. And then let's bring in our salmon. And I'm just going to liberally coat this in this rub. So you want to make sure you get it all around the sides as well. So flip it over, pat it in. Lovely. Second one. Again on the side there. Just give it a little bit more. You can never have too much of the rub, can you? And there we go. So I'm just going to leave those to sit now for about 10 minutes just to let them to get to know the salmon. And then we'll be ready to put those into the smoker. Okay, so that's had its 10 minutes. And if you have a look, you can see that seasoning has started to sort of amalgamate almost with that salmon. So I know that it's penetrating that fish nicely. So let's get it on the smoker. I've got the smoker preheated at 135°C or 275 Fahrenheit. I've taken the top shelf out of this, and obviously, as you know, I'll do anything to keep my grill clean. You could, if you didn't want this on here, you could just put it straight on the grill grates, but you'll see why I'm doing it this way in a little bit. I'll check them in about 20 minutes. Okay, so that's been on for 20 minutes now. Let's check on that internal temperature. So this is going to be cooked when its internal temperature is between 55 to 60 C or 130 to 140 roughly Fahrenheit. And that's sitting at about 54, that one in the thickest part, and that one's a little bit higher at 57. So that's fine. Now's the time. I'm going to put some butter into this smoker, and we're just going to melt that down, and that's going to be for our glaze. And I'll see you in a second when we make that up. Okay, let's get this out. Get our salmon out first. Oh, it's looking amazing, the colour. Let's get our butter out. Now, to the butter, we're going to add maple syrup. Obviously, it's a maple glaze. And I'd like to say a special thank you to my neighbour, Fatima, who brought me this back all the way from Canada. This is a really special maple syrup, and I'm glad I'm using it on this recipe. Sorry, we've got a bit of wildlife going on here. So I'm just going to pour some into there and just give it a little shimmy around just to incorporate it a little bit And I'm not going to be shy with this. Look, the wasps are loving the maple syrup. Leave me alone, okay? And I'm just going to pour that over the top. I don't think I need all of it. Straight over your salmon. And that's why I put it on this, because it's going to save me having to tidy up my smoker. Plenty of it on there. Make sure it's nicely covered. Perfect. And that's going to now go back into that smoker. Temperature's at about 52 internal at the moment. So I reckon that's going to need about 5-6 minutes just to tack it up, and then we'll be ready to bring it out, give it a try and see how we've done. Okay, so I've just checked the internal temperature and we're up at 59 degrees C. Perfect for what we want. So let's get it out. Oh, I don't want to spill any of that lovely juice, but I have anyway. Let's close that down. And let's cut into one. Let's see how we've done. Aromas, perfect. Visually, perfect. Let's see how it tastes. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to turn it around and give you a better angle, hopefully. Hopefully you'll see that. Just cut a bit of that off. Look at that. Just flakes off. It's not overdone. It's just perfect. You don't want this, or I don't like it overdone. Let's give that a try. Wow, that is remarkable. It's sweet, it's smoky, lovely and juicy. That salmon is so fresh, and that rub really does make a big difference. Guys, if you can, make your own rub. Don't buy them from the shops. Honestly, it makes such a difference, and you can tailor it to what you like. Add more or less, different flavourings. And I've just got to have a little dip in there, because that maple syrup is something else. Wow. Guys, give this one a go. Even if you don't have a smoker or a barbecue, you could do this in the oven, no problem at all. Guys, that's it from me for today. Really appreciate you joining me. If you like the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Please do like, share and comment. If you try this, let me know. If you've got a variation, let me know. I'll put all of the details of today's smoked maple glazed salmon down below in the description as always. And all that's left for me to say is until next time, it's cooking good.